Well, I believe in good vibrations is what creates a beautiful nation. All you need is the will to do right, do right, do right.
And we're live. Welcome to a brand new episode of Anecdotally Arguments. I am your host, Jay Fry, and with me, as per usual, is Sean. How's it going, Sean?
It's Monday, and we were strike-free for 1 week and counting.
Holy crap.
And Garrick, how's it going, Garrick?
Oh, it's a Monday. It's been a good day.
It is a Monday. I wouldn't go so far as to call it good, but that's what it is. So we got Anecdotally, say what you want about Martha's Vineyard, but Canada is a silly place. Why is Canada a silly place? Oh no, we got to do the movie review first. So, who wants to tell us the glory that is Anchorman?
No one.
No one. Will
So
Ferrell go suck a dick.
So have you guys even seen Anchorman 2?
No.
No.
It took all my will to sit through Anchorman 1. I'm not watching 2.
Yeah. So they put Anchorman in, which is supposed to be, as far as I'm aware of, modern day Anchorman. 2, they put it in the 80s or the late 90s or no, early mid 90s, whatever. And they equate it to a new broadcasting cable news. And they make it basically, they shit on Fox News. Oh, let's have a cute doggy in the video. Like, yeah. So it's shit. It's utter shit. See, it's even worse than 1.
Yeah, 1 wasn't good, so I can't imagine 2 would be any better.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, as far as they go, apparently they like it, but it's just either you have I could watch the other guys because it wasn't Will Ferrell being let loose as Will Ferrell, but Will Ferrell to me is not funny.
Right. But that's the thing. He in every movie he has somebody else act with him. It's just how he riffs off of them. Like I said, I can watch Get Hard because I like Kevin Hart enough that it offsets Will Ferrell, and he's very tame in that movie for Will Ferrell.
Well, I haven't seen Old School, but I imagine I could like him in Old School, or I could like Old School the movie without being too annoyed by Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
I think it's
well,
the
that's because it's a large ensemble cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's how much does the movie get away from Will Ferrell being Will Ferrell?
Mm-hmm. Like, what was that? Jay and Bob Strike Back? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? Was it the one with Will Ferrell and the cock knocker?
Yes.
Oh, Joe Duke is gonna sue somebody. Yeah, that. Alf. Did you ever figure out the name of the movie where he was a character in a book?
No, I haven't bothered to look it up. I suppose I could IMDb Will Ferrell, which I'm going to regret, but whatever.
What was it? Was the number 23? Was that about a book, or was it just Jim Carrey as an author?
Let's see here.
No, Jim Carrey lost his mind and kept seeing 23 everywhere.
But wasn't he an author?
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, how many years ago was that? Several?
That's probably what, 2012, 2014?
It was, you say it's a plethora of years?
What was that? Was that writer credits first all of a sudden? Oh, producer credits.
Oh, little producer credits. Ow, ow. I just read an article about a woman who was being tested for a part-time job at a school, and she thought she was doing a drug test, but it was a pregnancy test. And I'm like, yeah, you're not a fucking English teacher. We don't let you get away with that shit. The Queen's death shines a spotlight on wrongs suffered by indigenous people. Is it, which indigenous people exactly? Who were the people in London?
Stranger Than
Well-
Fiction.
Oh yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, Stranger Than Fiction. And that
To
was
be
before.
fair,
That was before. Well, it was right after Talladega Nights. So
Oh my god, that was so fucking terrible. And the problem with him is he has, as the movie picker said, very quotable parts in the movie. And Will Ferrell movies typically are very quotable, but the movies themselves suck. It's the same problem I run into with Monty Python. The movie has its moments, but the movie overall sucks.
Fucking Garrick and his opinions.
I mean, what would you rate it?
Monty Python?
No,
They go from great to pretty good.
no, Weatherman.
Ron
or-
Burgundy? Oh, yeah, the Anchorman? 2.
I would give it a 1.5. And that half is only because stuff like, well, that escalated quickly, is memeable and can be slightly funny.
Yeah. As I said, it has its moments. And with Jay, I give it a 2. It's not
Yeah.
too bad.
I give it like a 1.5, but anytime I get if it makes it past the 1, it goes to the next one.
Yeah.
The
I
1's
feel-
2.
I feel bad for Paul Rudd for being in it, but he also saved it. For
No, Paul Rudd.
sake.
Paul Rudd loved that movie. He's like, I get to play an idiot? I love playing an idiot. I'm Paul Rudd.
And and the other problem is I don't like Steve Carell either. And he's in it.
Oh, I
So-
loved him in Evan Almighty.
No. Steve
It's
Carell
very-
sucks.
Back to the British comedy thing. The Office, the American version of The Office, which I know is based off of a English show.
Yeah.
I hate
Ricky
character-
Gervais went so hard on him when he quit.
Yeah, I hate his character. What's his name? Steve Carell.
Michael Scott. Yeah.
Michael Scott. I hate Michael Scott, but the dude has some very funny moments.
Mhm.
I think one of the most memorable ones he has is the Wayne Gretzky quote, where he writes that, the quote by Wayne Gretzky, then puts Michael Scott underneath it because he's quoting him. I mean, that is good shit. But, it's just so much garbage you have to get through to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what do you guys pick for next week? The Patriot, like everybody else?
Oh, you know what? I should probably pull it up. I never did pick one, so hang on.
There's a few good ones. I picked the Patriot because obviously that's probably the best one on the list.
I picked Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, you bastard!
I did
Why?
not pick-
Why the me?
I did not pick Brokeback Mountain. I picked Patriot.
Yeah. Screw everybody that picked Brokeback Mountain because I really don't want to watch that movie.
It's good.
I don't believe you.
Oh, no, that's good.
Let's see. Interstellar. I haven't seen Interstellar.
Well, that's what
so
they have to watch next week.
we have John Q. Don't know anything about it. Weekend at Bernie's. Absolute classic.
Mm-hmm.
The Truman Show. Good movie, but
Good movie.
depressing.
And if I don't see
Yeah.
you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Edge of Tomorrow, which I have not seen.
I haven't, and I try. I can't see that fucking movie.
So I've seen John Q and Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow is the one that gets memed as the video game movie because the guy dies all the time and just basically goes back to a respawn, if you will, or a last save. So it's funny in that way. But that's a good Tom Cruise movie. And John Q is
Denzel Washington.
Well, John Q is it's about Dennis. No, not Dennis. Come on, black guy, very popular.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel, thank you, not Dennis. Denzel Washington. He's a dad who gets the short end of the stick as far as benefits at work, and his son has a medical condition. So the story is about him trying to get this operation done for his son. He needs a new heart, and it's a good like heart jerking movie, but it's also kind of they try to critique like the healthcare system in the movie. It's kind of an overall thing, so it kind of undercuts it. Still like a 3 out of 5 movie.
Well, that's the fucking movie. It's got James Woods, Robert Duvall.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's got that one chick who died. Anne Heche.
Mulholland Drive.
Oh,
Isn't that a Clint Eastwood movie?
It is not.
really?
Which one am I thinking of?
No idea.
I don't even know.
Mulholland Falls?
Nope.
I'm gonna
There's
pick
a weird,
Mulholland
like,
Drive. I'm picking it. I'm picking Mulholland Drive.
I don't know what it's about then, but I'm thinking of a Clint Eastwood movie that's something like that. It's a drama movie.
They're not gonna get to Mulholland Drive. I can tell you that right now. Weekend at Bernie's is like 5th. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Mulholland Drive. It's good.
It's hard to follow, and it's only good because there's a lot of lesbian sex.
Yeah. With Naomi Watts. No, wait. I'm thinking of the other one. Kim Basinger. Continental. Not LA Confidential. No.
L.A. Confidential.
I am thinking of LA Confidential.
Yeah, no, the Mulholland Drive's different.
The Bridges of Madison County was what I was thinking of.
Good God, man! That couldn't get farther from Mulholland Drive.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know what Mulholland Drive is though. But yeah.
Car wreck causes amnesia. She's a aspiring actress.
It's kind of the story of the Black Dahlia without being the story of the Black Dahlia.
Yeah, lots of scissoring.
Lots and lots of lesbian sex.
Oh, you know who's in it is the chick who plays the nun. And Robert Forrester. It's a David Lynch movie, so scissoring aplenty. It's either scissoring or rabbits.
See,
Oh,
this is where
Forrester.
you can tell how young Matt and Blonde's audience skews. Which is weird because there's a bunch of us olds that I know are fans of Matt and Blonde, but the audience
Aw,
must be.
When you say us, you meant me, didn't you?
I did.
Damn it. Come on.
In
I reckon.
looking at this, it's The Patriot followed by Edge of Tomorrow, and one vote behind that is Brokeback Mountain, which is disgusting. Then The Truman Show, and Weekend at Bernie's is like 30 votes, well, 22 votes below The Truman Show. That's disgusting.
I think they're letting Lon slide on the Brokeback or Weekend at Bernie's, but I went in and I added all these movies from the '80s, like Ski School and stuff like that. I haven't watched them
That's a
yet,
good one.
but I was just saying, like, just how fun.
Oh, there's my replacement movie. I got that one down.
Ski School.
No, not Ski School. Better Off Dead.
Oh, have you seen the TV show Better Off Ted?
No.
It's hilarious, and it's got Portia de Rossi. Wait, no, she also slept with Ellen. So different thing there. But it's absolutely cute. If you guys have a chance to watch Better Off Ted, I think it had 2 seasons or 3 seasons. It's hilarious. It's like a real life cartoon. Steven says Brokeback Mountain's generic, heavily marketed to the big names. Yeah. Okay.
Well, whatever. I'm not going to see it, so.
I think everything's marketed to the big. Oh, speaking of, tonight 10 o'clock, I'll be here. Fuck you guys. The new Quantum Leap is on.
Oh, that's going to be about as popular as the reboot of Hawaii Five-0.
No, even more so, because they made Sam Elliott. Sam Beckett, right? Sam Elliott's the actor. Sam Beckett is, I think it's Sam Beckett. Played by the fucking Asian dude who played Kim Jong-un in The Interview.
Okay. Isn't it the same dude from the Hawaii Five-0 reboot?
Which the Australian guy?
No, the Asian guy.
No, that's Daniel Day Kim.
I have no idea.
I think that's who that was. Quantum helps if I spell quantum with a Q. Quantum. I think his name's something Lee. Raymond Lee, Anastasia, Antonia, fucking Ernie Hudson. I love Ernie Hudson. He unfortunately got into a car accident. He was supposed to be coming to our school. He's a Michigan boy. And he was coming to our school to have a talk. And he unfortunately got into a car accident on his way to the airport to come over. And they changed his name to Ben Song. He was in Top Gun Maverick. He was in The Lost City. I don't remember him in The Lost City. James Chen in Magnum P.I. I don't know who James Chen is. Call of Duty. He played Lee. Yeah, Always Sunny in Philadelphia as a cashier. Sam and Cat. He played Fitch. How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, he. They had to change Sam Beckett to Ben Song apparently. So maybe it's not a remake at all, and it's like a parallel something like a parallel program to whatever they were doing in Quantum Leap. Like maybe there's not a Ziggy and Al. But I think if anything, it's weirder having an Asian guy play white people.
Is he playing white people? Probably not playing white people. Probably just
it's one of the first pictures is him standing in front of a mirror, and the mirror is a white dude with a beard, played by Dax Campbell.
Okay. Well, I mean, the whole premise of Quantum Leap is you jump into other people's lives, so.
Yeah, but predominantly he jumped into other white men's lives. Except occasionally you'd have oh my god, retarded. What was it?
Yeah. Oh
What-
no,
what-
there
is
was a
that what he said?
cliffhanger.
Like,
That was the cliffhanger of one of the episodes. Is he
I think I'm
goes
retarded.
all the way through the episode, makes the next leap, and then the cliffhanger was looks in the mirror. Oh no, I'm retarded.
it was something like that. It was not a good line to have. That's for damn sure.
No. And then the next episode, the next week's episode, was him doing the show about being in a retard.
What was his catchphrase?
I don't think he had a catchphrase.
He did. It was like, Great Scott. It wasn't Great Scott, but it was like, Jinkies or some shit.
Well, who's playing Dean Stockwell's
Zoinks?
part?
Oh, well, that's it. There doesn't look like there is one. It's
It was
first
boy.
off, all the names are. Oh boy, that's it. Oh boy, all the names are changed. So I'm thinking because she's ahead of him in top credits, Anastasia, Anatoni, and she's playing Eva Sandoval. But what's weird about this is they've only got the one episode. And it's one episode credit for Raymond Lee, one episode credit for Ernie Hudson, but Anastasia Antonia has fucking two. But yeah, there's no one named Al. There's no one named, Sam Beckett. So, now this is Ernie Hudson is playing Herbert Magic Williams. Do you remember the Vietnam episode where he played Magic? Sam Beckett?
No.
With his brother in the he played the character Magic. He was a black man. And he was just known for like getting like hints and suspicious feelings that like kind of like outed like the Kong or traps and things like that, so they called him Magic. That might be Ernie Hudson's character. Which would be crazy. Oh, okay. So I looked at the trivia, and it is Ernie Hudson is playing the same character, original series, Quantum Leap Part 2 Vietnam, and that aired in April 1970, which is 1990. It was played by Chris Kirby. So the premise of Quantum Leap reboot would have been entirely different if it wasn't for NBC deciding to cancel the original show at the 11th hour. They replaced the last scene of the show that was supposed to be the 6th season with a simple title card telling viewers that Sam never went home. What?
Yeah, I remember that. And everybody was pissed off. They just kind of left it like, oh, he's still out there jumping around.
Oh, Ben's song is the opposite initials of Sam Beckett. That's so clever. Set 30 years after Dr. Sam Beckett stepped into the Quantum Leap Accelerator and vanished, follows a new team that must restart the project, hoping to understand the mysteries behind the machine and its creator. That's stupid.
No, but what that does is leave the door open for Scott Bakula to come back.
He I read this yesterday. He has no part of anything to do with this, which just means season 1.
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
For now.
Yeah. That is the stupidest premise I've ever heard. They start the project to send this guy fuck all through time and space to understand the machine and its creator. Like, if this isn't like piloted by, I mean, I guess it's going to be magic. Like, magic is going to have like some deeper understanding of what happened. But like if this wasn't like driven by, you know, Sam Beckett's daughter, who's been missing her father for 30 years, it doesn't make sense.
When did the X-Files start?
And they know what happened to him because they had Al the whole time. Al was in the real world.
Yeah, he was just a hologram to Sam.
Yeah, he was like, he would have been the liaison back and forth. So he would have like
constantly
updated.
saying, "Well, Ziggy thinks we can get you home."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, blah blah blah. And Ziggy was always wrong.
Ziggy was never right once. I mean, I enjoyed it, so it would be nice if it goes someplace. And I don't hate this guy, unlike the guy who plays the new Marvel Asian. That guy sucks.
The Shang-Chi guy? Or the
Yeah.
Wong?
No, Shang-Chi. That guy
Okay.
sucks.
Yeah, he sucks. Wong's all right.
As far as I know, he's all right. I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, he's like, oh no, that's a very problematic comic book you happen to have there. I'm not signing it. It doesn't show my people in a good light. You're Korean. Get the fuck over it and sign this fucking thing for me.
So, looks like X-Files started right as Quantum Leap finished up, or maybe the first season of X-Files was the last season of Quantum Leap. Let me see here. Hang on.
So?
Quantum Leap. Oh, yeah. So, basically, the final episode of Quantum Leap was May 5th, 1993. The first episode of X-Files was like September of 93. So, we went from Quantum Leap straight into the X-Files. Two different networks, though.
I want to believe. So, why did you link those two?
Because they were the nerd shows when I was that age.
Mm.
They were the geeky sci-fi nerd shows for the late 80s and early 90s.
Do you remember Sliders?
I do remember Sliders.
Ah, I love me some Jerry O'Connell and John Rice Davies.
That was a sci-fi rip-off of Quantum Leap.
What? No, it was so different. They did different. No, actually, no, it wasn't really. I mean, like maybe like in the loosest terms, but
Yes,
but they went to different dimensions.
Yeah, the premise of Sliders is a rip-off of Quantum Leap. But yeah, the mechanics and everything else was just sci-fi being fucking sci-fi.
I'd say it was more a rip-off of Stargate.
Well, it was way before Stargate.
The movie?
Well, okay, so the movie was out, but yeah, that was their trial run at a Stargate type show, I guess. Maybe.
Nice. It would have been better if it was a ripoff of Quantum Leap. Like you get like John Rice Davies in the body of like a 4-year-old.
Let's get that nastiness off the screen.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Melinda Clark was in an episode? Probably. Fuck yeah, everybody was. You know what I just see? I saw a 60-second, like a memoriam, or I don't even know what you would call it. Just a 60-second clip pile of all the people who were in episodes of Miami Vice. Is your dog okay?
She's fine.
Tell her to sit and shut the fuck up.
She doesn't listen.
She doesn't speak English. I don't know.
Well, that's true. She doesn't. She was a Chihuahua that we got from a Mexican family, so she definitely doesn't.
Kaite Suvoka. See? That works. I'll make some sliders. What else was there? Oh, I liked Primeval. That was a good one. It had portals.
There was Lax.
Lax was good. Actually, I don't remember.
And then Farscape.
Yeah.
And before all that, on USA, there was Friday the 13th, the series, which I totally liked.
I was gonna say that's not even in the same wheelhouse, but yeah. Freddy's Diner.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was the it actually had Robert Englund in it at least.
Yeah, well, Friday the 13th, the series, had absolutely nothing to do with Friday the 13th
Nothing.
movies. Nothing at all.
Yeah, but I liked Monsters. The Dark Side. Tales from the Dark Side.
Tales from the Dark Side.
There's another one just like that. Yeah, Monsters was a good one too.
Then they
That
came-
actually,
in the early 2000s, they came out with Warehouse 13, which was a reimagining of Friday the 13th, the series.
So,
Same premise. Team of people have to go find objects and get them back for a collection. That was the premise of Friday the 13th, the series, was that this guy was running an antique shop and his dad or grandfather or somebody in his family had this list of all these cursed items that he would have to go hunt down and collect. And then kind of with Warehouse 13 is the same thing, except it's a government agency and they've got this, cool tech and warehouse and shit. They had to go fight and get all these weird objects back.
what's her name? Amanda Scully? Yeah.
Hug and Kiss.
Amanda Hug and Kiss. Is that the name? Is that the name I'm looking for? Amanda Hug and Kiss? I saw that episode of The Simpsons. I know what you're talking about.
I see you've played Knifey Spoony before.
Oh, I say you fly knifey spoony, but coffee. There. I'm in America. I'm in Australia. I'm in America. I'm in Australia.
Yeah.
Fucking guard punch and read punches. Then we don't tolerate that shit in America. Yeah, Tales from the Dark Side was a good one. Monsters was a good one.
Back when Fox first became a thing, like they didn't even have a full day's programming yet. They had a show called Werewolf that nobody but me seems to remember. Do you remember that show, Werewolf, on Fox?
With Lance LeGault?
I don't remember who was in it.
Didn't it have Kevin Connors?
No, not Teen Wolf, just Werewolf. It was back when Fox was brand new. Yeah, 1987. And had one season, basically.
Doesn't he go and he finds like a group of werewolves?
I don't remember. I just remember it being a thing. Let's see, it had John York, Chuck Connors, Lance DeGault, and Brian Thompson.
Yeah, Brian Thompson from
Everything.
Cobra.
Yeah, everything ever. Yeah, Brian,
Everything B related, that means a villain.
yes, he was always in everything like Sci-Fi or Fox or USA. Because he just had that general bad guy look to him.
It only had the one season, right?
Yeah, just the one season. 1987 to 1988. Doesn't even say how many shows. Let me see.
Probably 24.
Let's see, 10, I think. No.
No, pilots
Don't
plus.
read it. Use Jay's phone.
Don't use my phone.
Shut my door. Thank you. "29 episodes, supposedly."
Wow, that's a weird number.
That is a weird number.
Yeah, come in.
Lance DeGault.
You want to say hi?
Sure. Sorry, I've been on the phone and stuff.
Oh, you're good.
Ginger, the Ginger Bandit.
Yeah,
Yeah, cooking dinner right now.
that makes sense. It's nice and early.
I was on the phone with somebody about possible jobs, so
Sweet.
Oh, any luck?
maybe.
Maybe.
Find out.
Hell yeah. Yippee.
I like they did the V mini series, and it was like 82, 83 or something like that. And then like the next year, they had a full blown season of V, the complete series.
Yep. Well, it was very, very, very popular at the time.
Had Freddy in it, of course. Beastmaster, Mark Singer. I liked V. It's good. They remade it. They absolutely shit all over everything. I was watching something the other day, and I couldn't freaking place the guy.
Okay, there is no way that IMDb isn't using some sort of algorithm and listening to what I'm talking about.
Why is that?
Looking at top picks, and they're in their new format. The first thing that comes up, whoops, that's not what I want, is stuff with Paul Rudd and or Will Ferrell. Hang on, it's got to reload. I accidentally misclicked. And it's stuff with Steve Carell. And then at the very end of the list is Sliders. The only reason that's there is because we were talking about it.
I watched, I think it was called Overkill or something. It was a movie, Overkill. Anyway, it had Billie Jean in it, which got me thinking of Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
I love that show.
Parker Lewis Can't Lose is another one.
Oh, love Parker. As a matter of fact, my ringtone or my alarm on my phone is the theme for Parker Lewis. Love that show. Poor Colin Nemec.
You gonna try again?
Corin Nemec.
Corin Nemec.
Nemec. I always call him Nemec because he's anemic.
No, you can let him slide because he's made some real bastards of TV shows and movies. He's a staple on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I'm like,
Yeah,
you're
he's in a
kind
bunch
of
of
a
bad
rat
stuff.
bastard. which is weird because he can't be. I mean, he's a decent actor, so he's got that going for him, and he can't be a shitheel, or else they wouldn't keep hiring him. But
Yeah, he only gets picked for B-level stuff, I've noticed. Well, and he's doing better than the rest of the cast from Parker Lewis Can't Lose. The only other one that's even somewhat famous was John Panette.
yeah,
But he was kind of famous before he even got on the show.
what's he doing these days? Jumping out?
I'm pretty sure he's pushing up daisies.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah. For sure.
holding down dirt. That's what he's doing. Go home. You'll be here for hours.
Well, and that's the question: is that a John Panette joke or is that a Louis Anderson joke?
Both.
Is it a
John Panette did it.
Is it a Louis Anderson joke?
Not gonna lie though, I do miss John Panette. That dude was very fucking funny and at his own expense, which is not as common as it used to be.
No, not a, well. You could actually be funny back when he had a career. Nobody's. I tried to watch. Have you? If you flip through like YouTube Shorts or TikTok or whatever, you can find clips of comedians. Dude, I'll be damned if I ever crack a smile, let alone laugh at their fucking jokes.
I saw one.
Nobody's funny anymore.
It was on Instagram.
Hold on, I got one for you. I saved it on Reddit and I wanted to share it with y'all whenever
Oh, God. Fucking Reddit.
Hang on.
I could have told my story while you were searching for this.
He's actually genuinely pretty funny. You alright?
Yeah, I'm trying to hold that up and it's not working out too well.
Yeah.
No. I had one. It was a woman talking about how she fucks everybody but pretends she doesn't fuck everybody so she can fuck everybody. And it was just utter trash and it wasn't remotely funny. And everybody in the comments were just talking about how funny it was. And I'm like, this must be the separation. There's the two types of people: the ones who will like Will Ferrell, and the ones who do not. And this is obviously a Will Ferrell type of humor because it's not funny. And I have a very well developed sense of humor.
What about Nicole Arbor? Is she still funny?
Okay, so this guy is trying to be
No,
Stephen Wright.
Nicole Arbor's not funny. Stephen Wright is a
Big crack out of.
gem all to himself. That's like trying to be Mitch Hedberg or.
Right.
Wait, Sean, what were you saying?
I said this guy that you just of the clip you just sent me. He's trying to be Stephen Wright. He's telling Stephen Wright level jokes, but I don't know. The Tourette's doesn't help.
Oh, but the the one joke that he had about when he was actually like having a Tourette's episode, and he said buffering, that fucking had me rolling. You didn't catch that one?
I'm still watching it.
It's like being trying to recreate a Mitch Hedberg or a Sam Kinison.
Right, you can't do it.
Yeah. And I love shouting humor. That's one of my favorites is to shout something that is blatantly obvious.
Right. Well, Norm Macdonald kind of did that. He was the last one to had a career.
He didn't shout though, but he did embrace like the blatantly obvious. Like
Right.
he told this joke to Bob Saget, and it's so inappropriate. But I'm going to tell it anyway. This kid is rooting around in a dumpster in the back of a warehouse, and he finds a welding mask, and he puts it on. He's waving his hands in front of his face, and driving down the alleyway is a pedophile, a sex pervert, and he stops and he says, "Hey kid, you want a ride?" And the kid says, "Yeah, I could take a ride." And he goes, "You want to drive?" He goes, "Sure, I'll drive." He goes, "Kid, you like to give me a hot blowjob?" He goes, "Oh, no, sir, I wouldn't like to do that." He goes, would you like me to give you a hot blowjob?" No, sir, I would not like. Yeah. How about anal sex? Would you like to have some anal sex, kid? It says, "No, Oh, I understand here, sir. I'm not actually a welder." I'm like, that is a terrible joke, Norm. But Bob Saget is not laughing, but he's almost crying.
Right.
Because of the delivery of it.
Right, it's the delivery.
And he's like, "That was so bad." And I'm like, that's like barely a funny. But Bob Saget is nearly like he's just not laughing and not having a reaction, but he's almost crying. It's so funny to him. Because Norm could.
No, Norm Macdonald was a comedian's comedian. He wasn't an everyday comedian.
Yeah. He could tell a joke on a level above what people would think is funny to the people who are actually funny find it hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the one joke that he tells about the moth that goes see a doctor, and he goes through the whole thing. It's a play off of, I forget which Russian author's book, but he goes through this whole thing, and then the doctor's like, "Well, why'd you come to me? It sounds like you need a therapist." He said, "Well, the light was on." Yeah. I mean, it's one or the other. He's not made for the everyday man. Was Norm Macdonald.
Oh, I love when he was on The View and he just wanted to talk about Hillary Clinton killing people.
Pull off and pull down.
Yep. And Barbara Walters is just aghast. Well, and then his phone rings. He's like, "Oh, hang on, I got to take this." And then that fails so spectacularly. He's just dying. He's dying. The women all hate him, and he's like, "Yeah, that was the idea of your producer there. He thought it'd be funny if I brought my phone out, and he calls the phone, and it would be funny, Broads taking themselves too seriously.
Oh, just that chick I saw the other day was just not funny.
Josh said he's going to send you something. By all means, shout out loud what you think. He'll hear you.
All right. Fucking waiting.
It's there.
I don't have anything.
It's in the. He texted it. Did he text it to all of us or just to me?
Yeah, he's going to send it to the group too. Jay, don't feel like you'll be left out.
A new McDonald's sandwich.
Oh.
Ye work up an appetite, unseeming the foes of your liege lord from the knave to the chaps. When the dawn breaks, how shall ye break your fast? Oh shit! The new McDonald's Macbeth, the only sandwich with meat taken from a cow that trusted the butcher with its very life. That beef is placed upon a bun along with pickles and a super special sauce. The new McDonald's Macbeth. It is a meal you shall wish to enjoy tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
Okay. That made me smile, but I didn't laugh.
Oh.
That.
What about Frank Sinatra?
I like Frank Sinatra. Just because the audience has no idea how to react to any of it. And he just gives it his all every time.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I love it. Have you ever seen Frank Sinatra?
Was that Richard E. Grant? It sounded like Richard E. Grant.
No, it was some rando on some game show that nobody actually ever watches that you only ever see on YouTube Shorts.
Oh.
Shut up, cat.
Bunny Bobble.
But yeah,
Sean, how would you describe Frank Sinatra to somebody who may not get it?
okay, so if you've seen Office Space, it's I can't ever remember the character's name from Office Space. Where's my staple? That's my stapler guy.
Mm.
It's him dressed like Hitler, but singing lounge as a singing lounge act, singing Frank Sinatra tunes with a Nazi theme.
Okay.
It's hilarious.
Stop.
It's hilarious. You must watch it. And if you can get his whole act, it is so good.
I've got it somewhere.
Well, the characters, well, the guy is Stephen Root.
The one from Office Space?
Milton?
Milton, that's it.
Yeah, that's Stephen Root.
Stephen Root, who was also in Dodgeball, and he's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So they're going to go try to find Frank Sinatra now, so...
No, Josh said he'll pass.
No, Josh, you need to watch it, sir.
Is it I Did It Mine Way?
That's one of them.
I've never even heard of Frank the Nazi.
Oh,
or
and dude,
Sinatra.
it is genius in some of the references he pulls, some of the comments he makes. It is absolute art. It is so good.
I like when Orson Welles he's on the roast of Dean Martin, and he just reads lines of Dean's songs, just as Orson Welles.
As Orson Welles.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. Beautiful, Dean. Beautiful, beautiful. I listened to the War of the Worlds, and I was like, how did these people, like, it wasn't a special broadcast. It was just Orson Welles, like on his show doing a production. It had commercial pauses. It was nothing special. It wasn't a like, there are times where they did like specials that instead of having, like, it was a thing for like the murder mystery theater where they would have more like paid advertisements within the storyline. Like they would come across a car in like on a train, and they would like talk about like the shaving cream for a good like 20 seconds about like how good it was, and then move on like, oh, like that's a paid placement for a shaving cream commercial instead of actually having a shaving cream commercial. But the introduction was that it was going to be a skit, and that it was happening, and then you listen to it, and it's good. You know, it's not special, but it's right up there with.
Want me to blow your mind about that?
Sure,
What that was marketing. It wasn't a thing that people actually freaked out about. It was a marketing story about how people freaked out about it. And that means that people started wondering what that was, and they wanted it replayed. They wanted to go back and hear it again.
Oh, that's slick.
Marketing.
That was right in front of the microphone. Yeah, okay, I understand it. It's it didn't have glaring potholes or plot holes like signs. Like, why would the aliens come down to the planet that's 70% water if the water could affect them like that? Like, did you not do research, aliens?
Well, not only that, it's not even set in a desert, which would make a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was set in like foggy New England, where you could the air could kill them.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. What did you think of the fog?
Which one?
Exactly. Both, like either one, and the comparison between them.
That's there are certain stories and certain tales and whatever you want to say that do better in different mediums. The book The Fog, or the short story The Fog, novelette, whatever it is.
You think of The Mist?
Maybe I am thinking of The Mist. It's the same fucking premise.
No. The fog is a ship and ghosts.
Oh, then I haven't seen that one.
Okay, well, there's all right. So the Mist is Stephen King and aliens, in a portal or something like that. The Mist is a movie from the 70s. I think it had Jamie Lee Curtis, and then a remake.
The Fog.
The Fog, yeah, The Fog. And it was Adrian Barbeau and Jamie Lee Curtis. The remake was Tom Welling and Maggie Grace, and I would say they were equally as good. But yeah, I mean, it both has to do with obscured vision, but they are very different movies. They focus differently, and it's a John Carpenter. It was written and directed by who's Deborah Hill, right? That's John Carpenter's co-writer. Well, she did the Halloweens, and of course, because it's John Carpenter, you have to have Jamie Lee Curtis, but it also had Janet Leigh. Tom Atkins was in it. Hal Holbrook.
Wow, that's big pull for Carpenter.
Not really. Not after.
Well, I guess Halloween, but
yeah. And Adriana Barbeau and Hal Holbrook did the Stephen King. What the hell's it called? Stephen King.
The Stand.
No. The short stories. Stephen King and the guy who does zombie movies. Romero. Creepshow.
Yeah.
But you put Janet Leigh in something in the 80s and everybody will flock to it. Had Buck Flowers in it, for crying out loud. Well, Buck Flowers is a John Carpenter staple. But the remake had I think Selma Blair. Just a lot more people who are known nowadays. The that Serbian guy who was in everything in the mid 2000s. But yeah, it takes place in, I think it's Oregon, and it has to do more with the founding fathers of the city and the shipwreck crew. But it was interesting. But The Mist ended up being a TV show. Probably freaking awful. Poor Thomas Jane. I think in the remake they made it an island too. I don't think it was originally an island in the fog. No, the fog didn't turn people inside out. They kind of drowned, standing up, kind of thing. Andrew asked. You better come up with something. I'm gonna start talking about vampires.
Yeah, why did you want to talk about vampires?
I didn't. I was researching. I was on Etsy and there was a vampire kit, and I'm like, a fucking vampire kit, hell yeah, those things are cool. Like if I found like a really cool mallet, I would make a vampire slaying kit.
Yeah, they're fun to make.
No, I mean like a what were they called? Shadow box, I guess. Something like that. But like I read, so I would have like holy water bombs with infused garlic. like it could be much more cooler than what they had like 100 years ago with the shitty crossbows.
What was I watching? It was one of those shows where maybe it was actually Antiques Roadshow, where somebody had brought one of those in that was like it looked like it was made in like the 1800s or early 1800s, and then they were like trying to evaluate it. It was a really nice thing, you know. The kit itself was all well done. The box was custom made. It had dueling pistols in it and like stakes that were sharpened that could fit in the barrel, so you could shoot the stakes at the vampire, and holy water bombs, like just Molotov cocktails, basically, with, you know, supposedly garlic infused holy water. And
for some reason, vampires are flammable. Yeah.
And all kinds of neat little kitschy stuff like that into it. And the appraiser was like, "Yeah, this was probably made in like the 50s or the 60s."
Guys, it's not Halloween yet. That's enough.
Well, it's the 19th, so we got 6 weeks. We could definitely start with vampires and still have werewolves, zombies, Frankenstein, slashers. Yeah. But yeah, it was right around it was the late 1800s. Dracula came out, and it was like just before the 1900s, and they started making them then. So it is the late 1800s, and they sold those kits mostly to people traveling throughout Europe too. So they are vintage. I can't imagine why someone would make one in the 60s. It's not like the 30s when Hammer or Universal brought out their Nosferatu or anything like that. Sometimes I don't trust your Antique Roadshow guys. But if I found a cool looking mallet, I'd totally start one. And just fucking whittle a couple of white oak ash stakes. The real thing would be finding an old Bible that wasn't too big to take up too much space in the display case, unless it was really decorative. But garlic, salt, wolfsbane. In the remake of Dracula, they have they carry seeds because something about Dracula is OCD, so he
has to count.
Yeah, so he has to count the seeds.
Yeah, something, and I believe they're orange seeds. It has to be. I believe that it goes back to dried orange seeds for some reason. It's just a weird thing, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a silver garrote. But the thing I was talking with Bunny the other day about it. The book series I'm reading right now, and in Twilight in particular, I hate the immortal killing machine that is the vampire in that genre that can only be killed by other vampires or a special magical werewolf creature, and is like can move across a football field in the blink of an eye. Untie knots, that was another thing. Yeah, Maynard's with us now. But can do the 40 in 0.5 seconds and can lift up a bus and all those other things. There's no reason we aren't vampire servants in Twilight. Like those 3 people who were in charge, the Volturi or whatever, they should have taken over the planet with that kind of power. The whole poetry of a vampire is super duper strong at night, super duper weak during the day. That prevents them from having the uppityness to take over as like leaders of the world.
Right. Well, I mean, before the thing that makes it scary is before the 20th century, the night was dark. You couldn't see, and it's not being able to see what's behind the bushes, what's in the shadows, that made people terrified. That's why when you have this supernatural being that's roaming the streets at night, it's scary. During the day, they're not a threat because you can see them.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. And it's something like that existential horror of the natural world doesn't translate into the 20th and now the 21st century because of artificial light and the fact that we live a 24-hour day now.
Yeah.
We didn't do that 150 years ago. That just wasn't a thing.
Yeah, like do you know the story of Whipping Tom?
No.
So before Jack the Ripper, there was another man who roamed the streets of London, indiscriminately targeting women and lifting up their dresses and speaking their bottoms and running off into the night.
Well, do you know about Spring Hill Jack?
That's the original Jack the Ripper story, isn't it?
Well,
Whitechapel, all that?
Well, yeah, but it predates the Jack the Ripper by, I don't know, half a century. Like, there are actual murders that took place in the 1880s in Whitechapel that were attributed to Jack the Ripper. But before that, there was the story of Spring Hill Jack, which was a guy who, when confronted, he ran away unnaturally fast and then jumped an 8-foot wall like it was nothing. So,
well, that's the story of Whipping Tom. Is preternaturally fast and athletic, but he would just lift up skirts, and that's huh?
I like that you used preternaturally.
Fuck yeah!
Somebody's Red Ann Rice.
Hey, oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Wait till we talk about Frankenstein and someone calls the creature Frankenstein. Oh, you're gonna get a lecture.
He's just the monster.
Frankenstein's monster. By the way, his name's Adam.
First, well, of course it is.
Because he's that arrogant.
Yeah,
Frankenstein's that arrogant.
exactly. What I find interesting, for as good as Frankenstein is as a story and as, lasts, now 200 years, the story of it, Mary Shelley, and the whole writing of Frankenstein is way more interesting. And
Oh, Mary Shelley? Oh, yeah. A little
Yeah.
scary.
yeah, today's goths got nothing on that whole crew.
Is your paperweight your husband's heart in a jar? No, it's not.
Mary
Pussy.
Shelley is the fucking epitome. She makes Edgar Allan Poe look normie.
Oh. Try harder, lulls.
That was one twisted chick. And
Yeah.
then her husband, and who were they palling around with? Was it Wadsworth or was it Byron? Or both?
It was both.
Ugh.
Because apparently everybody was freakier.
Good lord.
I mean, like, pretty sure Francis Bacon froze himself on kicks. He wasn't doing anything with temperatures. He just climbed into a freezer for funsies. It's like, you know what I need? I need my arm frozen solid. I'm Sir Francis Bacon. They explains why I'm blanking on fucking Nikola Tesla married a bird because women were crazy back then.
Well, you hear stories, and the whole reason that Sigmund Freud even got started was because of the clientele he would serve. Women were literal lunatics. They would literally lose their shit on the regular.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't help that half your medicines were cocaine elixirs.
Cocaine, laudanum, opium. Oh, and all the lead paint and the poisoned wallpaper. There's that.
Yeah, the heroin mouthwash. Yeah,
Cyanide in the walls.
cyanide eye drops. You know, Jesus Christ. It's a miracle we survived.
The Victorians were pretty fucking hardcore. That's what I'm saying.
And fans of dueling, so that was questionable. Like, I'm pretty sure you just got dueled if you told tales. Like, sir, your lips are loose. We shall fight to the death.
Have at thee.
Swords of muskets.
Pistols at dawn.
I do like the fact that that it was like an honor system, that since you got to pick the pistol, they were both loaded properly. 50-50. Take a shot. But yeah, the whole vampire thing is they were too powerful. They would have taken over, so they needed to be written in a way that they're not. And that revolves around them being weak during the day. So that was my whole argument behind it, and that is something that was atrociously done in Twilight.
Well, it's a fucking fanfic. What do you expect?
But they made too much money off of it to not be taken seriously.
Right.
So yeah, it's a glaring error. I do not like that. And this goes back to like anything else that I'm talking about. There's logic that needs to be made in the books. You cannot tell me that that white Ariel and black Ariel grew up the same way. Because if they did, that means there is no difference between white people and black people. When all you do is tell me there is differences between white people and black people, that we don't have the same lived experiences, then you cannot replace a white person for a black person without changing the storyline behind it. But if you think I have issues with that, then wait till you hear about Jack Reacher being Tom Cruise instead of the guy who's playing him. Like, I will fucking flip my lid over certain things like that.
Well, I got into an argument about the same sort of thing today because they were talking about, it was some liberal or lefty who put up the meme of I think it was Woj. I don't know what the characters is, but it's the meme of like, okay, whatever, this is fine sort of thing. Not the dog, but like the face of like meh. And it was like when Johnny Depp played Tonto, that's race swapping a white person for a Native American. When here, let me pull it up. The Scarlet Witch is Romani, supposedly, and not a ginger like what's her nuts.
She's the Scarlet Witch. Yeah, she's the ginger.
Yeah, and then who was Raj Al Ghul was an Arab, not white, even though Liam Neeson's white as fuck. What was the name of the character Tilda Swinton played in Doctor Strange?
Oh, the ancient one.
The ancient one, yeah, who was supposedly Tibetan, and she's white in Doctor Strange. But then, everybody gets all mad when Ariel's white and gets replaced with an African American. I'm like, if you're going to do this true to the story, make her look like an actual mermaid instead of just a pretty girl. Make her look like a freaking monster, because that's what it's about.
Yeah,
she's a
but
freaking
Raj Al
monster.
Ghul was a white guy. In all the cartoons, he was a white guy.
I thought he was. I wouldn't have called him Arab. I thought he was like Persian.
I thought it was like Greek.
Yeah, Greek or Persian, kind of the same thing.
Those are white guys.
Yeah, yes. And, Tibetans, they're not white?
No, they're Mongoloids. There are 3 separate subsections. There's Caucasoid, Mongoloid, and one that starts with N that we're not going to say because we have a strikes issue.
Fair enough.
And they're distinctly skeletally different just in the head. It's just the head. There's also a distinction between men and women. It's in the crotch. But the skeletal structure, there's 3 separate groups. And it's, orbital and cheekbones basically is the difference. And they're separated into 3 categories, those 3 categories. So a good most of like all of South America, Mongoloid or Caucasoid, most of Europe, but you get into it, and the Russians aren't Caucasoids. They're part of the Mongoloids. They have the cheekbone differential, but they're still white.
Well, what does that make Native Americans?
Native Americans are still white. Eskimos also white, oddly enough, because they're directly, land bridge from Asia.
Right. Well,
you
have to pass Mongoloid to get here from there.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow over here they're not Mongoloid.
No, I don't know. I don't know how that works, but
right. Well,
I don't see how any of it works.
Then let's break this down too, because another one of the examples is the original Scarlet Witch is Romani, which is Caucasoid.
Oh, you know what? It might be because Eskimos might have been Mongoloid, but because of a little intervention from a certain conquistador that changed the skeletal structure of most of South America. So Mayans could have been Mongoloid, but the traditional, what we have now in South America,
they're Mizo is what I've always referred to them as, because there's a distinct look to Native Americans in this area of the country.
All right, Maynard is saying natives are mongoloid. That if they come from the same, I don't know, because they. Bottom line, we're all supposed to have come from Africa, so I don't know how we have 3 different skeletal structures.
Well, and then again, this has been bugging me for a while. The Neanderthals.
Yeah.
Not Homo sapiens sapiens.
No, not Homo erectus.
No, Homo erectus was much earlier for both of them.
Yeah.
But there is evidence that Neanderthals coexisted with Homo sapiens sapiens that came up from Africa. But there is never any root given for Neanderthals. They just say, well, they existed in Europe before modern humans came into Europe and outcompeted them, and basically they all died off.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has ever explained to me how Neanderthals got there and were distinct from Homo sapiens sapiens.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, oh yeah, there were Neanderthals in Europe. Where'd they come from? What's their root?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there's the Spaniard South American, and then there's the Guatemalan. The Guatemalan, which is the smaller breed of Mexican, as opposed to the taller, thinner breed of Mexican. Those could be mongoloids versus the bred out mongoloid that like a Selma Hayek. Selma Hayek.
So
Yeah,
while
she's
we're
a
on the
cock.
topic, I noticed that when I was, let me see if I can find it here. Oh no, the page refreshed on me. Do you remember
Did you send me that thing
here
or
it
not?
is. Send you what?
I was waiting for a meme, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to find it on the phone and send it over later. I was just explaining it. But anyway, I got into an argument, and let me finish that point before I go on to the second point. Was arguing with him about, what they did, the race
Mestizos. Called them Guatemalans. Yeah.
when they had that Anne Boleyn show that the BBC did, and they put a black chick as Anne Boleyn. I was like, that's horseshit. It's like it'd be the same thing as remaking Shaka Zulu with Owen Wilson.
Well, they have Sheena, which is the Great White Hope of Africa, and that was played by frickin' Tanya Roberts.
Yeah. Well, either way, I was saying that, and then about how
And then Billy Zane and the Phantom
went immediately into the argument about James Bond. James Bond is a character who is described physically in the books and has a history in the movies of looking a certain way. You can't just willy-nilly replace James Bond with anybody you want. And I went so far as saying even Daniel Craig is a bad casting choice for playing James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you want to make a 007 movie starring Idris Elba? Yes. Sign me up. I'll watch the shit out of that. But you do not call him James Bond.
It's a title versus a character, yes.
Right. And then I said, and look what they're doing. They're already doing that with what's her name. They're kind of making Chick 007, which, okay, great. You can do that, but you've got to bring the goods. You've got to make it just as interesting and compelling and worth watching as James Bond was as 007. And if you can't do it, then you cannot blame anybody but yourself for delivering a subpar product that nobody wants. So I don't care if you race swap, just don't character swap.
Yeah, the new Snow White is going to be played by a girl who's half Colombian.
Which the giveaway is in the name.
Yeah, I'm like, she's not Snow White.
Right. The whole purpose was she had super fair skin. That's the whole it's in the fucking title.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, so second point, this is something I just stumbled across. Do you guys remember back in, you won't remember remember, but do you remember hearing about the Oscar show where I think it was Marlon Brando had some Indian chick go up and accept the award and it pissed off Clint Eastwood?
Oh,
Yeah.
my dad and grandpa had a huge go about that. I go on, but I'll tell you the backstory of why Clint Eastwood wanted to kick her ass.
Right. So there's on the UK version of the Independence website from the UK. There's a blurb story here that says Sasheen Littlefeather, who was the chick that did that, accepts an apology from the Academy over 1973 Oscars. So she accepts that, but along with that, the original title was apparently she's got cancer now.
Yeah.
She did not age well. First of all, number one,
she is a cancer.
Well, in 1973, she was at least good looking.
Yeah.
She didn't age well. Well, I guess considering how old she is, she did age well, but it's caught up to her. So,
yeah,
that's all I had on that. But I thought it was interesting that just to bring that up.
So, John Wayne had a ranch that backed up to her reserve. And they trashed his fencing, let his cattle out, raided his house, and took it back as part of the reserve when it wasn't originally part of the reserve. It was the land next to the reserve that just abutted it because no one wanted the area because a bunch of drunken Indians lived on the reserve. So he bought up a huge swath of land that was next to it. They tried to take it over and cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars in rebuilding and repopulating the his ranch. He was in a lawsuit against her because she was the leader of the people who went and picketed his ranch, poisoned his animals, scared him off. He wanted to kick her ass, not because she was some Indian, he's a cowboy, but because she's an Indian piece of shit.
Which is probably why Brando had her do it. It was Brando fucking with Eastwood.
Why would Brando fuck with Eastwood?
Because he's fucking Brando and he's fucked in the head like that.
I didn't know Brando and Eastwood had any sort of beef with each other.
I don't know if they have a beef or not, but it's just Brando being Brando, just being an arrogant fuck.
You know what I mean? He was a good-looking guy.
Brando
As
was
were
younger? Yeah.
Yeah. As
Yeah,
were
he was.
John Wayne and Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, yeah. Well, look at Scott Eastwood.
Yeah. Spitting image.
Spitting image of his dad.
But yeah, apparently she sucks. Who would have thought she'd have been a troublemaker? The girl that came up and shamed all the cowboys. Like John Wayne was just upset with her because she was an Indian. He's like, I shoot your people. I'm John Wayne. Now she boycotts his shit, ruins his ranch, his getaway, and starts shit at the premieres of movies that about cowboys and stuff. Eastwood probably didn't have that same level of animosity because his spaghetti westerns were all filmed in spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Which probably is another ding against the whole quit taking and making white people black when all his Indians were Italians. Even that guy Littlefeather on the pollution tears, the littering, tear-crying Indian.
Yeah.
He's Italian.
Yes, he is.
He's not an Indian. Oh.
Seriously?
Full-blown fucking Italian in a I don't know if he had a wig or not, but the guy is the most Native American looking motherfucker on the planet.
Mm.
His name's like fucking Giorgio Armani or some shit. Giorgio Ravioli. Yeah, great actor. But no, yeah, he wasn't even Native American. He's just fucking Indian. So make new stories. Quit ruining the old stuff. That's the real problem here. Okay, no one cares because none of y'all read it, but I read a book series called Artemis Fowl, and it was made into a movie by Disney. And one of the characters, her name was Holly Short, and she was a fairy. And there's this clever little wordplay called the Lower Earth Police, and their special enforcement arm, like their elites, are the Lower Earth Police Recon, and they're called the Leprechauns. Anyways, Holly Short is a character. She's a fairy, like I said, and she is the first woman to be on this elite squad. And there was tension between her and her supervisor, Commander Root, because she had eyes on her being the first female. And that was a play, and he ended up being very proud of her. And eventually, he sacrifices his life to protect her because they end up getting to be such close and dear friends. And she realizes like how he's hard on her, but he's hard on her for the reasons of her doing her very best because she's a ceiling breaker, whatever the fuck they are. In the movie, her boss is played by Dame Judi Dench, who is, you can't argue, an amazing actress. Well, like, she did the role every kind of justice you can imagine, except as far as the character was a male and they had this division between them. A major part of why she did what she did, which was fail to have enough magic in her supply of magic, is because she was pushing herself too hard and yada, 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 a whole bunch of bullshit, but it just makes her look irresponsible if... Yes, don't say that stuff out loud. They'll hear us.
That's why I typed it.
If they... it invalidates the character on such a level, it makes her look irresponsible instead of being at wit's end and desperate. It just makes her look irresponsible to not have a supply of magic inside her. So casting a female in the role of the male character completely negates everything about that, because obviously she was in her spot at one point before she got promoted to being the commander. So it lost all tension and credibility with the first of her kind female in a spot because it had been done before. And for some reason, they cast a character named Butler, who was an Asian man. They made him black with bleach blonde hair for some reason. I have no idea why they did that. But they did. It's more important to me that a book made into a movie be faithful to the book as much as possible, because the book is what everyone is. That's why you get a $80 million movie, is because the book made $100 million. So you pay $80 billion and you're going to get a return of 160, 200, 300, 400, 500 million dollars. Be faithful to it. Books like Blood and Chocolate, which take place in the hills of Virginia at a high school, but when they're made into a movie, it takes place in fucking Bruges or some shit, and everyone's college age. It's a completely different movie, and it doesn't work. It's just... Don't ruin movies that are based on books. Lucky at you, Amazon.
Well, well, that's just it. Technically, that's not based on any book.
It's not based on anything.
Well, I mean, it's literally co-opting the idea of a book,
Mm-hmm.
but literally they're not allowed to call hobbits hobbits. That's how wrapped up in legalese and the 90 pages of appendices that they get to use to run whatever they're going to run. They can't hardly touch on anything, which is why you get Don Lemonloss and a black dwarf without a beard, black female dwarf without a beard. And then you got to turn all your main characters into, chick bosses like Galadriel, which just no. And yeah, all the guys are idiots. It's basically what it breaks down to.
Yeah, I don't care for that. I don't care for politics. I don't care for any of that shit.
Well, I
Leave my
mind
high fantasy alone.
A good political thriller is fine as long as you can actually write it and do it. Like apparently, House of the Dragon is doing just fine, and I think they only gender swapped one. Did they gender? No, they gender swapped a character, and then
they gender swapped a group. They're pale white people that they made black, and they still gave them white hair.
So yeah, but outside of that, House of the Dragon is actually doing it right.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent show. It's not as good as Game of Thrones, but it's not. No, when you're starving for good material, I mean, this is basically an island in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Islands in the stream. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm missing quality entertainment, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Although House of the Dragon gives me some hope that you're going to start making good shows again. But then again, even that, I refuse to watch anything from George R.R. Martin because he's a Tolkien hack.
The Vegetarian. That's who I'm talking about.
Valerian.
What the fuck ever. I never watched
Right.
Game of Thrones.
Either way, Game of Thrones, from everything I've heard, great set of books. Good story. The TV show. The problem was they made a TV show about a series of books that hasn't fucking been completed. And now that George has made all that money off of it, he won't complete it. Because then he'll be subject to criticism, because even if it's way better than the end of the show was, which that ain't going to be hard to do, it'll still be an ending that'll piss people off. So, yeah, I refuse to read or watch anything by George R.R. Martin. So, House of the Dragon, best, more power to you. Hope it's great. Hope you entertain a lot of people and don't fuck it up at the end like they did with everything else. But I'm wanting some good entertainment, and I don't see any coming. Certainly not out of Disney, and certainly not out of Amazon.
Yeah.
They even fucked up Altered Carbon's second season. Which was still good, but they still fucked it up.
I will be right back after peepees.
You do your thing. I will talk to Raggle.
Yep.
Did you get them to watch Frank Sinatra?
No, I couldn't get him to break down and do it.
Damn it, man.
I know. That shit is so fucking good. I'm gonna have to look it up right now and listen to it.
Well, wait till Jay gets back before you go and do that. We got to entertain the crowd, as it were. All three of them.
Well, that would entertain the crowd. I mean, okay, what's the best stand-up you've ever heard in your life? Best stand-up skit.
I was always really, really entertained by Gallagher.
The guy who smashed watermelons?
Correct. And here's the thing about Gallagher is that yes, that was his shtick at the end of the show. Every time, and it was a staple for anybody who went to his show. So I mean, it was a gimmick, whatever. But like most of his shows were very, very thought-provoking and funny in a way very few other people were at the time. So while the Sledge-O-Matic was a good bit and kind of shticky and gets panned all the time, the rest of his comedy is actually pretty good. George Carlin, before his wife died, was also really, really, really good. Bill Cosby was really, really good. See, the problem is that it's hard to say the funniest thing because things are funny for different reasons.
Right. Well, I mean, I think Don Rickles is one of the funniest people that wasn't part of the Rat Pack, which, dude, Bill Whittle told a little story about Don Rickles and Frank Sinatra. I fucking died because I didn't see it coming. So Don had a bunch of friends. They went out to this restaurant to go eat, and then a couple tables down from him is Frank Sinatra, and he's eating with a couple people too. Don gets up, goes over to Frank, and tells him, "Frank, it's so good to see you. I'm glad you look like you're doing really well." And you know, he just goes on and on and on, praising the guy. He's like, "Look, I need to ask you a very, very small favor, if you could. At your leisure, if at the end of your meal you could walk over to our table and just tell everybody hi, they're the biggest fans of yours. It would just make their day. It would make their life. If you could do this, I would really appreciate it." And Frank's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll be sure and do that." So a little while goes down, or goes by.
I have a follow-up for this story. Go ahead.
Okay, so a little while goes by, and Frank finishes his meal. He gets up. He walks over to Don's table. He taps Don on the shoulder and tells him, "Hey, Don, how's it going?" And Don turns and looks at him. "Frank, do you mind? I'm trying to eat here." Nothing?
No, I knew exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've heard this before.
Oh. Well, screw you two then.
So there's I'm looking. I was trying to look it up while you were doing it. There's a Busta Rhymes. I believe it's a Mountain Dew commercial where it's that exact thing that happens. It's a guy goes, "Busta, oh man, huge fan. If like when you're done eating, if you come say hi," and he does the exact same thing to Busta Rhymes, and it's as equally as funny because it's fucking hilarious. The like he just blows on like he's too big for Busta, or in this case Frank Sinatra. And I'm like, "Busta Rhymes, you are no Frank Sinatra." But Don's always got great stories like that. He tells a story in one of the roasts where Frank's on a boat hauling Sammy Davis Jr. behind him water skiing, and he goes, "So what are you guys doing?" And Sammy goes, "I'm water skiing," and Frank goes, "I'm trolling for gators." Dragging Sammy behind the boat as bait.
So for the ethnicity swapping of the characters, I don't know. Did you guys listen to the show last night?
Yeah.
No, okay, so you know what's coming. Sean, I guess you watched it too.
Yeah.
I think the best joke that they had all night, as far as the super chats went, was that they replaced the Little Mermaid with somebody who couldn't swim. Totally realistic.
I want to go back to a world where we can make those kind of jokes and not get lambasted.
Oh, and as far as like best comedy bit I've ever heard, it's still to this day. Who's on first? I mean, that is fucking comedy gold. I don't care what anybody says.
Do you know that every member of Three Stooges was under 5'4"?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was Depression era, so malnutrition was rampant, to say the least.
These guys were like born at the end of the 1800s, so it wasn't Depression era.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were born right around the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not like life was a lot harder than you would think back then. Period. Depression or not, at the turn of the century, life was not easy. Food was not fresh.
Yeah. Unless you lived on a farm.
Correct. So yeah, I mean, it's a different era altogether. We have it so goddamn easy these days, and people are all worked up about stupid shit instead of worrying about falling back and regressing to those harder times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Diz the other day was blasting people for oh, Little Mermaid's black. We're on the cusp of a railroad strike.
Just not. Yeah, fuck the railroad strike. Inflation is bad enough. The New World Order, the WEF, trying to do all these things and making all these policies that are just going to cause us to regress.
Mm-hmm.
Not just as countries, but as a species, we're going to regress. It's going to be worse than the fall of Rome. It's going to be worse than the Dark Ages.
What? The fall of America?
The fall of the world if the WEF gets its way.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why we have to fight it tooth and nail.
But as we saw during the pandemic, this is me being black-pilled, and I'm not normally black-pilled, but this is me being black-pilled. The results of the pandemic and the shutdowns were a primer for what's going to come. There are going to be masses of people, because we're living today in an age, and this is going to probably trigger the YouTube censors, but I don't care, because it's real. Joe Biden declared the pandemic over. He declared the pandemic over because we as society kind of looked at it and go, yeah, this isn't really a thing. We're not doing this anymore. And we haven't been doing it for the better part of this year. We are also living in an age where myocarditis caused, and they haven't said this yet, but it will come to this because we know it's the cause. The myocarditis problem that we're seeing in society today for younger and younger people, it stems directly from the COVID shots that we were all forced to take. We can't sue the manufacturers, and we were acting out of irrational fear about COVID, which was bad, but not as bad as the predictions. And it caused societal upheaval. So it is a primer for what's coming. If we cannot get people to understand that the people who were against this, the people you decried for the last 2 fucking years, were right, they were correct, they were always correct, you were wrong, and now you're trying to justify your wrongness and mitigating the I told you so's and still not acknowledging that those people were correct. That's going to be the future of bad decisions made on an international level by people that have no goddamn clue what they're fucking doing. And it's going to come at our own expense, just like the pandemic did. It hurt the little guy the worst. It always hurts the little guy the worst. It hurts the American taxpayer. The regular Joe Blows are the one that pays the price. And we have got to get off our collective asses and go, no, we ain't doing this anymore. And I'm afraid that because of the pandemic, we've proven that no one's going to do that.
It's because of this illusion, or it's because of the fact that, the top 5% of people in the world, control, 80% of all wealth and resources and distribution. And you have to get people to understand a lot of that also depends on you participating.
Well, I don't worry about the ultra rich so much because at the end of the day, the French Revolution is always an option. And the more they push, the more likely it becomes. The more the disparity gap happens, the more likely it is to happen. The problem is that it had to get so fucking bad before France did anything. And even then, it took us showing them that it could be done to do it. So,
yeah, but you also got to look at the French Revolution was fucking terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that can happen again, and it will happen. That's why I don't worry about the ultra rich. They're human beings. They can perish. Now, what makes them perish is wide open. And it just depends on how far they push as to who's going to make them perished and when and how.
But that's the thing. You have to find people with enough stones to do what needs to be done. And as you said, the pandemic has proven that we're really not those people. We're still in that stage where it's good times have made weak men.
Well, we're very comfortable.
Well, weak men have made hard times, and that's where we're sliding into now.
I would agree.
I mean, we got to make the next turn before we can do what you're talking about. And then even still, this is one thing that I think Clavin has absolutely right every time he talks about it. The major difference between the American Revolution and the French Revolution is that we stated exactly what was done to us, why it was wrong, and why we were leaving. And then we established that once we left, we were going to be on our own. The French, the problem is royalty was still there. Royalty was literally in their background. We were across the fucking pond. So the king was in one place and we were way over in another and we started our own thing. The French didn't have that option. The French were still living in areas that were controlled by dukes and lords and whatever else they had, and the king.
Backyard, yeah.
And even after that, it still was a problem with land distribution. We didn't have that because there was too few people and too much fucking land.
Well, there's a couple of differences too. Culturally, England has always been very different than France, and especially when it comes to royalty and the monarchy. Yes, England has royalty and a monarchy, but that royalty and monarchy has always, since William the Conqueror, since before William the Conqueror, been a matter of consent to be ruled. Now, William the Conqueror took it by force and did some shit, but then his progeny got stuck with the same cultural difference of the English, where, yeah, we're okay to be ruled. That's fine. But you're going to have to do some things our way to benefit us. Otherwise, we're not going to let you rule. And now that breaks down on several levels in society, but from the Magna Carta to, and I can't think of the name of the freaking document, what's the big university in England?
Edinburgh or Eton?
No, not.
Cambridge?
Is it Cambridge? It's either Cambridge or what's the other one?
Eton.
No, Eton's the primary school that feeds all those schools. It's Cambridge and what is the fucking other one? My cousin went there on a Rhodes scholarship. God damn it, what is it?
Not Exeter.
It begins with an E, I think.
Yeah. Bill Clinton got expelled from there. I can't fucking think of it.
What is the name of that school? Is it Maynard? Is it the Cambridge Accords or is it the other school Accords? Oxford Accords. Oxford Accords, which is basically this. Yeah, thank you, Maynard. It's the same thing. Much like Magna Carta limited the abilities of the king, the Oxford Accords were a much bigger deal. And what's interesting is Magna Carta gets all the credit. Oxford Accords actually reined in the king even more. And so between King John and whoever, I can't remember the name of the king that actually, it was probably an Edward because there was a ton of Edwards that had to sign the Oxford Accords. The English have this history of, yes, they have a monarchy. Yes, they're ruled by a monarchy, but there's always a guiding council.
Isn't like the main part of the Magna Carta, like our fixed 6th and 7th Amendments or something like that?
What's that?
Like the 3 main clauses of the Magna Carta that really were important versus the Crown were like jury your peers, cruel and unusual punishment, and speedy trial. Isn't that so it'd be 6, 7, and 8, I guess.
Yeah, roughly.
Well, 6 and 7, yeah.
They roughly translate because, yeah, we didn't want people to just be stuck. Well, like what fucking
January 6th is happening right now.
Habeas corpus, the property rights, and so, yeah, a lot of it is. But either way, so that whole English tradition that we inherited here in America is kind of the same thing. Plus, we had the ability to go, yeah, we just don't want you over us. You can go away now. You can do your thing. We're not threatening your thing. Your thing isn't going to be here. It still caused a war. France wasn't ever in a position to do that. Number one, they had absolute despotic. Despotic's not the right word, even though some of the kings were despotic. But they had an absolute monarchy where the king's word is everything. It's much like the Emperor of Rome. Their word was everything, and you didn't question it. There was no arguing against it. It was what the structure was. So France necessarily had to be a lot more bloody and violent than our own because they had to displace them because they couldn't say, yeah, you're just not going to rule over us anymore, but do your thing, because that was never an option.
Yeah, Stephen's Oxford doesn't count because he also went with Edinburgh, which is not in England. It's in Scotland, Stephen. Dystopic, no.
Tyrannical?
Myopic is probably better than dystopic. Unified, centralized would.
Well, it was absolute authority of the king.
Yeah.
And
despotic kind of works. It's not despot, but
that's tyrannical.
Tyrannical works.
But yeah, I mean, because it could be more benign than that. It's not like it's an active thing. It was the king had all of the authority, period, no matter what, and there was no disputing it. So they didn't have the English tradition. So they had to become more violent. They had to be more bloody, and they had to remove the problem. Removing the problem in that case means you make them dead.
Yeah.
Dr. Guillotine came up with a really efficient way of doing that.
Yeah. They didn't have prima nocta in France because the king was already fucking everybody.
It's good to be the king.
It's good to be. Wash this. It's my favorite fucking line from History of the World Pro. Wash this. He sits on his fucking scepter. Bullshit artist.
Such a good movie.
Stand-up philosopher. Garrick,
Hmm.
Good movie.
Which one?
History of the World's Part 1.
Never saw it.
Any fucking thing by Mel Brooks.
I'm pretty sure
Every.
he's seen Spaceballs.
I don't care for the producers,
Baseballs,
but
I've seen
everything else.
Blazing Saddles. What's another good one that he's done? He's done a few.
I just want a movie about Mel Brooks trying to make a movie now.
Wait, did he do Princess Bride or did he do? No, he did Robin Hood.
That's
Men in Tights, yes.
Men in Tights. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's you're thinking of yeah. Was that Rob did Meathead do Princess Bride?
No, couldn't be. Rob Reiner?
Hmm. I feel like he had some sort of involvement. To bluff, meaning to blade. Fucking directed by Rob Reiner. God damn, that bugs the shit out of me.
Well, dude, he's a good
Because he
director.
also
he's a meathead, but he's a good director.
He also directed An American President, and that's my favorite fucking movie. So 2 of my top 5 movies are fucking Rob
He's
Reiner.
a good producer director. He's an idiot, but he's a good producer director.
God, it just fucking makes my teeth itch. Yeah, he does great fucking work.
He really does.
Yeah, just that's right up there with Powder. I love Powder, but it was written by a fucking pervert. Speaking of, Victor Silva, pervert, wrote Powder, wrote and directed Jeepers Creepers. Just coming out into theaters this week is Jeepers Creepers Reborn, the 4th movie. Takes place after 2 because 3 was a prequel. Not written, not directed, not anything to do with Victor Salva, and he will get no proceeds from it. It's the only way they can make a movie after it. So if you guys feel like it, that's out there.
What was an animated series for Spaceballs?
A Few Good Men? God damn it.
Interesting. Well, okay, so he also did Throw Mama from the Train, so don't get ahead of yourself.
Stand By Me?
So, interesting factoid. Did you know that Rob Reiner's dad came up with the idea for the Dick Van Dyke Show?
Did he now?
He did. As a matter of
Whose
fact,
idea was to have the 2 beds? That's what
the censors at that point. But yeah, what's interesting is they actually the house that the Petries lived in the Dick Van Dyke Show was at 48 Bonnie Meadow Road. That was the actual house that the Reiners lived in New York. Just an interesting factoid that I did not know until today. Fucking meathead.
Fucking meathead, man. Great director. Shut up.
He directed When Harry Met Sally.
He directed Stand By Me. Mm-hmm. Which is funny because he's best friends with Richard Dreyfuss, and aside from how much I love Richard Dreyfuss and in the Me Too movement, he was like the bad guy. He was the Republican in An American President. But what kills me is the American Film Institute. Like When Harry Met Sally is in like the top 25, and in the bottom 25 is An American President and The Princess Bride. And I'm like, you switched that shit. But Carl Reiner's not that bad of a guy as opposed to
But isn't
Rob.
that his cousin? Cousin?
No, it's his dad. Carl and
Oh yeah,
Estelle.
Carl Reiner. Yeah, that's right. He just did he? Yeah, he just died a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all got me looking at Mel Brooks's filmography. I forgot he played a part in the Little Rascals movie.
Yeah. If we were your kids, we'd punish ourselves. That was if you were my kids, they'd punish you. If we were your kids, we'd punish ourselves. Fucking love that line.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out something interesting about Arnold Schwarzenegger not wanting Jamie Lee Curtis as his wife in True Lies, because Arnold Schwarzenegger had directed a Christmas movie where he became really good friends with Tony Curtis. So it was like getting a lap dance from his niece, I guess, in that one scene, and kissing his niece. So he was like, maybe not Jamie Lee Curtis. I was like, Jamie Lee Curtis, for as much as she's leftist, good pick.
Very good pick. She's a good actress too.
To this fucking day, I still don't know what Bill Paxton's line "ass like a 10-year-old boy" means, and I bring that up every time I talk about True Lies. Ass like a 10-year-old boy.
Just meant to make him even more repugnant and disgusting. Is really.
I don't even know what it means.
It's literally that. It's just to make him more despicable and unlikable.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Like, everybody loses their mind when I remind them that True Lies was directed by James Cameron. It's like, yeah. In between, it's like, what the fuck was he doing? It was Titanic was his next movie, and like right before it was
T2.
Well, I mean, that would be like 91. Probably. He does so much like shit in between that he doesn't do.
He doesn't do a whole lot of them frequently.
Yeah. But he was a big Arnold fan. Like, he did Commando too.
Well, I mean, their fortunes are kind of tied together, which is why Avatar sucked.
Because of Terminator, yeah. But he did Terminator, then Commando.
No, I think he did Aliens first, didn't he?
No.
After Terminator, he did Aliens.
No, I think he did Commando before. I can look it up.
Commando is 85.
Terminator's 84, Commando's 85, Aliens 86.
Oh, there we go.
He did a Racer too, Collateral Damage. Jesus, I didn't know. Speed? I was not aware of Speed.
That's because Speed 2 exists and cheapens the whole franchise.
Titanic, yeah, Aliens, Avatar. Apparently, Avatar 3 is supposed to come out in 2024. Am I still waiting on Avatar 2, or did I miss it?
It's supposed to come out either at the end of this year or the beginning of next.
Avatar: The Way of the Water, 2022. Starring nobody you've ever heard of.
Well, Sam Worthington is in it, isn't he?
No. Yeah, Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, some chick named Kate Winslet. I don't know how they know each other. Stephen Lang plays that same fucking guy again. Vin Diesel, Michelle Yeoh, John Landau, Cliff Curtis. Good lord. Michelle Rodriguez, because family. David Thlues. Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
I mean, just making us wait this long is not good for
Well,
her.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I would say that, except that Top Gun Maverick exists and apparently is good.
Piranha 2. What was the James Cameron did a cash grab on a movie by James Cameron? I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, Terminator 2.
No, but yes. My favorite of those stories is his pitch for Aliens.
Yep. Garrett, do you know this story?
Nope.
Go ahead, Jet.
Okay. So, pitch meeting. Aliens comes out. Huge, whopping success. Takes place all within a small studio. You know, you've seen Alien, right?
The Ridley Scott Alien, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So James Cameron comes out as a pitch, and he writes Alien on the board. Looks each member of the review board in the eye, writes an S, puts a line through it, and then a second line through it to turn that S into a dollar sign. And it was greenlit for $16 million. Just fucking Aliens.
Sounds like a pitch to me.
With 2 marks through it. But it got greenlit for $16 million. And then they got like the actual like script for it, and they upped it to 18.5. So it really wasn't an increase of that significant amount of money. But when James Cameron gives you a budget, you go, yeah, okay, yeah, that, you need every ounce of that. So he comes back with it's like, we gave you $16 million. And then he writes it. He goes, I need 18. 18.5. But man, that's one of the best casts between 1 and 2 for just amazing actors in not necessarily the most famous people on the planet, but just really solid actors. Yeah, Michael Hurt, Yaphet Kotto, and they did proud as far as keeping up in the second movie. Tom Skerritt.
Well, Tom Skerritt was in the first one.
Oh yeah, it's going on like Harry Dean Stanton, you know, Ian Holm. But yeah, they really, when they up their game they just made it more modern, really, with the second one, with the as far as the cast goes. Great cast members, but not a real star in the group besides for at the time Sigourney Weaver. But Paul Reiser was just a comedian, yeah.
Well,
but Bill Paxton had a couple of starring roles, but nothing spectacular. Michael Biehn, Lance Hendrickson. Like, you see Mike Ralston everywhere, but these are just good character actors. And the only woman coming close to the trifecta, Janet Goldstein. Vasquez. I have no idea what the mother's name was in Terminator 2.
Just missing the Predator?
Yeah.
Which they should have stuck her in the Prey, honestly.
Well, maybe not the Prey. Give her the next one, then.
Or just some throwaway, something like Alien versus Predator, just so she gets the credit, you know.
Alien vs. Predator 3.
Get the trifecta.
Just get a woman on the list, yeah. It's 2022, man. It's about time we had a woman slaughtered by the big three. Not that they're, like, comparable, like a Terminator to a... I wonder if we've got, we could do like a Universal Monsters. Go through and see if we've gotten a woman killed by a vampire, a werewolf, and a mummy. Who was in that new Mummy from Universal with Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe? Oh, I saw Thor: Love and Thunder. That was shit.
I still haven't bothered to watch it.
As far as things that are good, things that aren't good, it's in that category. But we can skedaddle, and go to off hours and yell at Steven for 40 minutes. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that idea. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about?
Not really. We didn't cover much news, but do we really
Big-
need to?
Big fake titties or anything like that?
What are you going to say about it other than Canada's stupid for not calling silly, stupid shit? You look at that guy and you go, that's silly, stupid shit, knock that the fuck off.
Canada's 11 crazy. They didn't even bother to make 10 crazier. Huh? Anybody got a spinal reference? That's what that is right there. Why not just make 10 crazier? Because it goes to 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it goes to 11. Yeah, I really got nothing. I mean, what else is there to talk about? Oh, there was an earthquake in Mexico.
Oh, apparently 1.3 million people are without power in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, well,
because
there's a big hurricane down there right now.
Mm-hmm. Man, if Trump was in office, 6 people would have been pelted with paper towel by now.
We'll see how Biden handles that crisis.
Yeah, let's see if the media covers the fact that the entire fucking they flew in, they dropped off so many pallets of water, it took up an entire runway, and nobody came to collect it. Trump administration.
Yeah, well, when your political opponents just want to badmouth you, you can't accept their aid.
Yeah. He just pelted a black woman with a paper towel.
Whatever. Yeah, how's AOC's abuela doing? Anybody checking in on her?
Just Matt Walsh.
Which good, at least somebody is.
Mm-hmm. Now, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Well, I believe in good vibrations is what creates a beautiful nation. All you need is will.